Hi, I'm Tom. I'm going to be working with Rowan today. Rowan was born to Francesca about 15 months ago, and when he came through, he had on both feet, but especially this one, yes? Left one or?
It was the left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, the doctors have done an amazing job. Let's just take this Nike sock off just for a minute. The doctors have done an amazing job with they don't call it tendinopathy, do they? They call it
Uh,
anyway nicking tenotomy, to nicking the tendons, to opening the tendons would be the Greek on that. In order for his foot to be able to hit the floor, because everything was turned this way, in the deep posterior compartment. This is not the gastrocnemius and soleus that will be doing this, but the deep posterior compartment. And they have worked on the tendons because the soleus tendon, the Achilles tendon, will be affected. But they've done a wonderful job with this, and so has Rowan, and so has Francesca, and everything's good. But from my point of view, talipes equinovarus, or clubfoot, is a deep front line problem and goes all the way up to the lower back. So the doctors have done a wonderful job with the feet per se, which I'm going to show you the other one here. Ooh, chubby little feet. And they are really doing well. I haven't seen Rowan now for, I've been away for the winter for teaching for 3 months, so this is my first time seeing Rowan in about 4 months, and he's a little upset. I think I'm being paid for what I did other times in order to help bring his feet around. But if you can turn around and sit. The thing about working with children, and the thing about working with body work, and the thing about working with children who've had a intervention like this is that often the intervention is with the symptoms but not with the cause. So if you watch this, you can see that, well, you can't see, but I can, that the deep front line is going right up here to his groin and then continues onto the spine with the psoas, the iliacus, the whole psoas complex. So with Rowan's permission, which I don't have at the moment, we've been working into this part, and I do what I can with Rowan in contact with his mom. That makes it a whole lot easier. I do all kinds of reassurance first, and as you can see, and as you will see when you start working with your own children or others, they work to their own schedule. So this allows me this. If I wish you could see Rowan's face right at the moment, because he gets totally fascinated when I get in there and he goes, "What are you doing?" But he doesn't get so upset when I'm actually doing the work. He gets upset with the thought of the work happening. But work a little, let it go a little, work a little, let it go a little. This is the nature of work with kids. Isn't it? Isn't it, you funny boy? Okay, we'll do some more on your feet. You like that part. So you can, he's got nice chubby little legs, and the muscles are smaller in the middle, but you can get to the lateral compartment that balances the deep posterior compartment, and then the deep posterior compartment right inside the tibia here. And right up onto the adductors is the continuation of this line, and it's the line of nutrition that goes down the leg too. So if that line is really short, you end up with the leg turned under like this. It was really turned under. They had to do the work with the casts and the tenotomy first. Oh God, you're good and strong. Look at that leg coming down on the floor. So I'm making an artificial floor for him and just seeing how his hip is working. He is objecting, but not for long. Doop, 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 doop. Doop, doop. 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 You can take my hand off. See. working on the psoas of small children. Yeah, okay, let's try one more time. Move this. So, nice small body. We can come around the hips and into the belly, but he doesn't like it because his belly is right full right at the moment. I think. If you get 5 minutes of work in with a kid, you're doing pretty well.
Yeah, well, he goes to the foot doctor, once a month, maybe every other month, and then he goes.
What do they do once a month?
Kind of, well, with the new doctor, he went the past 2 months just to get acclimated with him or used to him. Yeah. But they just look at him really, and then it's 5 minutes, and then they're like, "You're good."
Thank you for coming to Portland. You're good.
But
I suppose they're just looking for things going awry.
Right. We want to keep, assessment going so that we can make sure everything's the way it should be.
You like cameras already, huh? Look at your teeth.
But then he goes to
lots of teeth.
I know. Can you go ah? Can you go ah? You play peekaboo? Can you go peekaboo? Peekaboo.
Those of you who are working with children will know its unique joys and its unique frustrations of trying to do this in practice, and very often, not in the case of Francesca, but very often the child shows up with the mother or the mother and the father, and I want to say, the child's fine. You guys lie down. Because it's really the parents that are creating the disturbance. In this case, it was just a birthing thing, or a birth defect, I suppose you call it. I don't know what you call it, a condition. But thank goodness you were born in this era where it can really be easily corrected, because it was not easily correctable in previous generations. And what you're seeing here is a very strong boy standing up on his legs. So enjoy your class. Lauren is a person of my heart, so I send lots and lots of love to you, Lauren, and to you guys who are working with her. Thanks, Rowan. Thanks, Francesca.
Thank you.
So that was a really fun example of, both the kind of the structural concerns, some of which we've talked about, and we can open up into some of the ways that thinking about lower leg alignment, we can say more about that, but also that whole dance of approach and retreat and approach and retreat. And I love the little moment where Rowan just takes Tom's finger and just is like, nope, if you've been able to have work from Tom, you know how smart and effective those hands are. So I imagine that high in the thigh area, it's like you'll want to have permission when you go into that area, and the body knows the capacity for change. And we've already seen in just our time together, but it would not surprise me if in the next session or two, with Tom working with Rowan, that Rowan would be not taking his hand away. And if anything, like when Tom put his hand at the thigh, Rowan would put his hand there also, or things like that. And just as an indication, a kind of nonverbal indication of okay, now I'm more ready. Now I'm ready for this piece. And we know about that kind of unfolding process with bodies from the work that Ida Rolf and Tom and others have taught us in the sort of structural integration and unfolding process of change. It's okay that we kind of ripen towards the right moment. Sally's asking a question about no psoas work on the very young. I would say I don't do the compressive work, right? So the lifting work, I do the lifting work, even with infants. My handy infant model. Generally, again, what I'm thinking about is, do I have contact a little above, maybe a little below, and I'm going to kind of lift the psoas this way, or maybe the bilateral, but with a little one that's, you know, this small, this young, more often I've got deep front line in the thigh and a little, like, hold the baby belly. And if you kind of just engage very gently into a slight depth of the roundness of the baby belly, you can glide and ask, does that deep front line translate across the front of the hip? I think that's okay, but I'm not doing compressive work there. Yeah. And as I've mentioned, I'm not looking for that to change pelvic position necessarily, but I do want the myofascial tract to glide well. And that can be very helpful. And as Tom mentioned, when I see or feel stiffness through the leg, generally I'd say the lateral compartment of the calf is the lateral, and the anterior compartments on infants are as often implicated for just like tight held as part of that O-leg pattern than the deep front line. But checking through across the joint spaces and those 4 compartments, and just feeling, as Tom, you saw Tom sort of just squeezing the legs and feeling the legs, and you can read a lot in the 4 compartments just by that kind of a scan, and treating whatever feels stiff or short or sticky